Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. It's just been non-stop on the channel, just every day we're posting a video, and hopefully we'll be continuing that streak for the next coming weeks. We might be slowing down, just because of the season's changing. Summer's ending, so there might be a little bit of a slow down period once we crawl into September, which will be nice for me. But I love doing content for you guys. I love doing, being proactive like this. Um, but we're back to talking about the strike once again, because there's really not much else to talk about besides maybe a few movies here and there. I have some interesting topic videos coming up in the future, but I just want to get this one out of the way because this one's fairly noteworthy. And that is involving the interim, I believe as I say it, the interim agreements, basically caveats to the strike, which we touched on them a little bit a few weeks ago, I think. Yeah, like a little bit in the last video involving the strike. And I said back then that the agreements I felt were a bit hypocritical just because the whole principle of the strike, the whole idea of the strike, the whole notion I thought was that, everybody would go on strike and there wouldn't be any work, lined up, and if anybody who did do work would be penalized or anything of the sorts. But now these interim agreements, based on based on the productions and based on how if they're tied to the AMPTP, they'll be granted this agreement where they can continue production or continue to promote their products or whatever like that. So, and while I do believe that the whole idea of the agreement is extremely hypocritical, considering how the strike was formed and considering the idea of the strike itself. I will say this. This is also a good thing. And you want to know why I think it's a good thing? Because actors need to be working. Actors need to be working. I know that people are like, "Oh, well, the strike, the whole morality of the strike and stuff like that." I think that not having actors do work, I think, is just plain stupid. And forcing actors to be in a certain sphere. I said it a long time ago. Like forcing actors to be in a certain sphere, I think, is just petty. And we're seeing, people who are starting to speak out about the strike, going against the strike, and you see how quickly they change their responses because of that. You see Stephen Amell, recently did comments about SAG, the whole strike, and was not really for it. And then so conveniently, he then the next day backtracks. He's like, "Oh no, I'm actually for the strike. I'm completely fine with it." Basically, the union probably waiving his membership, saying, "Hey, you still want this? Then might want to rephrase or backtrack on what you said." So, I don't like the way that the union is handling their employees. I don't think that. I think it's very toxic and very narcissistic, and I think actors really need to be working because we've touched on this profession before. This is not a secure profession at all. I mean, you have to be an A-list in order for this to even be sustainable. And there's a reason why these A-listers are like handing out millions towards like relief programs and shit like that. The reason why they can do that is because they're also producers, so they have secure income coming in, and also they've built themselves up to a certain point, so they have certain credibility to them. Thus, they have more money on the table to spare. But I think it's also like hearing these names like DiCaprio and other things like that. I think it's just their way of saying, "Look, I don't want this question asked, so I'm just going to push a bunch of money towards a relief program, and people can just, not have those questions, come to me, Um, that's just my guess anyway. But because I don't think relief programs should exist at all. Like in any respect, I think relief programs are just stupid. I think it's just a way of avoiding the real problem and just like giving people a certain validation that they don't deserve. Like there is such a thing as bad career choices. There is such a thing as professions that are not all secure, and you need to be fully knowledgeable of the consequences. And when those consequences do occur, you need to deal with those consequences in a real manner, which is maybe changing direction in career choices or perhaps looking for other ways to make money within said profession. As I've said before, producers, that is where you go. Um, so, so that's why these people are giving out all that money. So don't think that, oh, look, it's because these big A-listers and stuff like that. They're also producers. So that's why they have all this money lying around, so, or they're able to hand these millions towards relief programs. Also, they probably don't want these questions asked towards them, so, or these questions directed towards them. Um, so I will give it to you, SAG. I think that the agreements are good, but I think we're on different pages considering what the agreements, why these agreements need to, be in place. Because the fact is, they're not going to change their whole idea of what the strike is and why they're doing the strike. I think that actors just need to work regardless. Whether the strike was on or not, actors just need to work in order to create any kind of income, because like I said, this is not a secure profession. So, unless you're a producer and an actor, you have like your hand in multiple positions within this industry, you're not going to make that much money. So, so I do think that within the strike, actors should be working. And I'm glad that these agreements are in place. The only thing that I disagree with is this whole, are you part of the AMPTP? Is your production associated with them? It's like, what does it matter? Like actors should just be working regardless. Again, it's just this whole narcissistic and this whole selfish, endeavor where it's like, oh, if you're with them, then you don't get to work, you don't get to make money or anything like that. It's like nobody wants to bring that up. Nobody wants to bring up the fact that there's been thousands of layoffs because of this. Nobody wants to acknowledge the fact that people have lost their jobs. People don't want to acknowledge the fact that productions have been shut down completely, and that the union is basically manhandling this whole thing and, being the dictator of, oh, who gets to work and who doesn't get to work. Like, it's fucked, I think that, your viewpoint should not be the factor that makes or break your production. That to me is just being completely selfish, malicious, like. But that's the union for you. I mean, they're just selfish and greedy. They're just doing this out of their own, um, selfishness. And they're narcissists, so they don't think they're wrong. And they're doing these agreements because they want to also look good. They don't want to do it because it's the right thing. And I would take these agreements even a step further. There shouldn't be any agreements, because even the agreements are also fucked. Because the agreement states that you have to be for the strike's principles. You have to agree with the strike in order for your agreements to go through. So if you're like, oh no, the AMPT is completely justified in what they're doing and it makes sense, they'll deny you the agreement. Don't get it fixed. So there are still hypocrisies, and there are still unfairness taking place. And the only thing that I can state that's good is that actors are working. That's the only thing that I can say that the union, in some twisted way, is doing right. They're allowing actors to work. The problem is that why are they being allowed to work? That's my problem. I don't think that they should be granted, this sort of thing because, oh, you agree with our politics, or, oh, you agree with our viewpoints. Like, that's not right. They should be going into production and working on their films if they meet the requirements of, like production, like pre-production, meetings are all good, everybody's fine, the investors are all good, we have, locations, we got a schedule in place, we got the cast, we can keep it under budget. Those are the things that you should be concerned about when it comes to productions. It should not be about their viewpoints or anything like that. And SAG, all they need to worry about is, hey, how long are you using the actors? Hey, what actors are you using? How much are they getting paid? Like, and can you meet their, their certain rates or whatever like that? It's like, that's all the union should be caring about. But they just want to control, they just want to control, so much. And it's like, I just think that it's very selfish, what they're doing. That in the WGA, apparently the studios want to talk again, which we talked about on this channel. It's like that was inevitable. They were going to do that regardless because they had no choice. If it were in any other time where the studios were in a different kind of position, they would maybe be a little bit more maybe probably a little more considerate, but because of their dilemma of not having as much money at their disposal, and all as the other factors that we talked about in the last few videos, of course they're going to. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. Studios will eventually fold, and they will eventually give the unions their money because it is how it is. So it sucks that's how it is, but it's how it is. So, and they'll give it to them when they have money available. That's the thing that people keep forgetting. When they have the money available, they'll give it to the union. But if they don't have the money available, which the unions for some reason cannot comprehend, it's just ridiculous, the whole strike. And hopefully it will end soon. Probably by the end of this year, I predict it'll probably be done. And then we'll probably be back here in a couple of years' time when some other narcissist wants to get more money. So, but yeah, I think the agreements in some manner are good. Like I'm glad that actors are getting to just work. I disagree with the reason why they are getting the chance to work. It should not be because they agree with the strike or because they fold and they're like, fuck it, all right, well, fuck the AMPTP, like they're just appeasing, whatever like that, or just being shills. Like, if they should be working because their production is sound, because they're able to meet the rates and all that sort of stuff. That should be what the unions should be concerned of, not if they're with or against their viewpoint. That to me is just being completely selfish. So, but good to see actors working again. I just wish it was for a different reason. So, but those are my thoughts on the interim agreements, right? That's how you say it, the interim agreements. I think that they're, in the context of this whole strike, I think the whole strike is just ridiculous, but in the context of the strike, I'm glad that these agreements are in place because actors should be working. I just disagree with why. So, but you guys let me know your thoughts about the strike going on right now and the agreements that are in place. Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. And that's gonna be it for me, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And yeah, so hopefully this should end soon because this has been dragging out for a while. And as I expected, I've been hearing actors are fighting each other now on the strike and blah 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 blah. So just per usual. So, but it's just it was just like the inevitable shit that was gonna happen. So, but yeah. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, and until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.